Hello students, we are going to start with EVS Unit 8, a treat for mosquitoes. So what is the treat for mosquito? Mosquito's treat is always human beings, that is our blood. So let's see blood test. Rajat is back at school today. He had been absent for many days. How are you? Asked Aarti. I am alright, Rajat replied softly. So, Rajat was absent from many days from the school and today he came in the school. So, Aarti is asking to Rajat that how are you, Rajat? And Rajat said that I am fine. Rajat replied softly, means in soft way he replied that I am alright. Jaskirat, you must have been played a lot while you were at home. So they are the friends of Rajat, and Jaskirat is telling that you must have been playing when you were at home. You are not coming in the school and you are playing at your home. So Rajat, who wants to play when you have fever? On top of it, I had to take a bitter medicine. I even had a blood test. So Rajat is telling that who likes to play when you have fever? When we have fever, we don't like to play. So Rajat is telling that I was taking bitter medicine and I had a blood test also. Jaskirat, a blood test? Why? It must have been very painful. So Jaskirat is telling that why did you have blood test? It would be very painful. Jaskirat is telling that it would be very painful. Rajat is telling, actually, when the needle pricked my finger, it felt like an ant bite. They took 2-3 drops of blood and sent it for testing. That's how we came to know that I had malaria. So Rajat is telling that because of blood test, I came to know that I had malaria. So Rajat is telling that it feels like ant bite, like how ant bites. So it just feels like ant bite, and they took 2-3 drops of blood, and then I came to know that I had malaria. Nancy, but you get malaria when a mosquito bites you. So Nancy is telling that you get malaria. How you get malaria? You get malaria when any mosquito bites. So Rajat is telling yes, but we find out by the blood test. So Rajat is telling that we mosquito bites and malaria causes, but we came to know by the blood test. We can find out by blood test. Jaskirat, there are a lot of mosquitoes in my house these days, but I did not get malaria. So Jaskirat is telling there are a lot of mosquitoes in my house, but I did not get malaria. So Nancy is telling that who says that every mosquito bite causes malaria? Malaria spreads only by the disease carrying mosquito. So Nancy is telling that all the mosquitoes does not causes malaria. All the mosquito bite does not cause us malaria. There are only few mosquitoes which can cause us malaria. So Aarti, all mosquitoes look the same to me. Rajat, there must be some difference. So Aarti is telling that all the mosquitoes are same for me. All the mosquitoes look same, and Rajat is telling that there must be some difference. Now see here picture, taking the blood on the glass slide for test. Malaria spreads through female mosquitoes Anopheles. So it is telling that they are taking blood test, taking the blood for test of malaria, and it is telling that that malaria is caused by female mosquito. Now on the next side you can see Dr. Mariam looking at the blood slide under the microscope. The microscope makes things look 1,000 times bigger. So she is Dr. Mariam, and she is seeing the under the microscope, and in microscope the blood looks 1,000 times bigger. Things look 1,000 times bigger. The details inside the blood can be seen clearly. There are some microscopes which make things look even more bigger than this one. So it is telling that there are many microscopes which can make things look bigger than this. Now see Nancy, did they take the blood from the place where the mosquito had bitten you? So Nancy is asking to Rajat that did they take the blood where mosquito has bitten you? Means where mosquito has bite you. So Rajat, of course not. How do I know when and where the mosquito bite me? Yes, how could Rajat know that where the mosquito has bitten him? Nancy, but how could they find out that you had malaria by your blood test? Do you think they could see any something in the blood? So Nancy is telling that how could they find malaria by your blood test? Nancy is shocked that how by through blood test how could they find malaria? Do you think they could see something in the blood? Now she find out, do you know anyone who has had malaria? So you have to tell me that your friend or your relatives who has, do you know anyone who has malaria? How did they find out they had malaria? So they can find it through the blood test. What problems did they have on having malaria? So it is telling that what are the problems they are facing when they had malaria. They had fever or like some any other symptoms, sweating is coming. What other disease can be caused by mosquito bites? So what are the other disease which is caused by mosquito bite other than malaria? In which season is malaria more common? Why do you think this happens? Say in rainy season there are a lot of mosquitoes due to there is more garbage around here and there more dot is on the rainy season, and so there are a lot of mosquitoes also in the rainy season. Monsoon, it is monsoon season because of dirt, because water remains here and there, so there is dirt. What do you do in your house to protect yourself from mosquito? Also find out from your friends what they do. So what are the ways by through which you can protect yourself from mosquitoes? What do you do to protect yourself from mosquitoes? And you have to talk to your friends also that what they are doing. Now see, medicine from malaria. From early times the dried and powdered bark of the cinchona tree was used to make a medicine for malaria. So it is telling that earlier people used to boil the bark powder and strain the water which was given to patients. Now tablets are made from this. See, in earlier times how people used to make medicines by their own, they make the medicines by their own ways, but now there are tablets for every patient, every disease. Now anemia, what's that? Aarti, you know. So it is telling that anemia, what is that? See, Aarti is telling, I also had to get a blood test done, but they took a syringe full of blood. The blood test showed that I had anemia. So Aarti is telling that I also did the blood test, and through that I found that I had anemia. Rajat is asking, what is that? Aarti is telling, the doctor said that there is less hemoglobin or iron in the blood. The doctor gave some medicines to give me strength. He also said that I should eat jaggery, amla, and more green leafy vegetables because these have iron. So Aarti is telling that doctor is saying that due to less hemoglobin, when the hemoglobin is less, that is red blood cells is less, so the problem of anemia occurs. And to doctor gave me medicine so that I can get strength, and doctor also told to Aarti to eat fresh leafy vegetables, jaggery, all the things which can give her iron and protein. Now, Nancy, how can there be iron in our blood? Nancy is asking that how can there be iron in our blood? Just Kiran, there was something about this in the newspaper yesterday. Rajat, so then you ate iron or what? So Nancy is telling that how can be iron in our blood? So Jaskirat is telling that in newspaper I have read something yesterday. Jaskirat has read something yesterday in the newspaper, and Rajat is laughing. So you ate iron or what? Aarti, silly, this is not the iron used to make these keys. I don't know exactly what it was. After I ate a lot of vegetables and whatever the doctor had said, my hemoglobin went up. So Aarti is telling that don't be silly. Doctor has not told me to eat iron that is used to make cheese. Doctor told me that I have to eat a lot of vegetables through which hemoglobin increase. Now see, anemia is common in Delhi. School. 17 November 2007, thousands of children studying in the municipal corporation schools in Delhi suffer from anemia. So it is telling that in 2007, thousands of people were suffering from anemia in Delhi school. This is affecting both their physical as well as mental health. Due to anemia, children do not grow well and their energy levels are low. So it is telling that it is happening due to it is suffering both their physical and mental health, and the children also are not growing properly. This also affects their ability to study properly. So it also anemia is also affecting their study. Now health checkups are being done in the schools and health cards are being made up for all the children. So it is telling that health checkups are done in the school and health cards are made for the children. Anemia children are also being given iron tablets. Now here are the some of the points. Now see, baby mosquitoes. Jaskirat, there is a poster on malaria just outside our class. So it is telling that there is a poster of mosquitoes or on malaria outside our class. So where the malaria can be spread. So are you inviting mosquitoes to be where there is a poster? They spread malaria, dengue, chikungunya. So don't let water collect around your house. So it is telling that you do not have to collect water around your house. Fill up the pits. Keep the water pots, coolers and tanks clean. They should be dried every week. So it is telling that you have to keep your water pots, coolers and tanks clean and you have to dry in every week. Use mosquito nets to protect yourself. So while sleeping you have to use mosquito nets so that mosquito does not bite you. Spray kerosene if water has collected at some place. So if the water has collected at some place, you have to spray kerosene so that the mosquitoes does not gather. So Rajat, the poster says something about larvae. What are those? Nancy, they are baby mosquitoes, but they don't look like mosquitoes at all. So Rajat is talking that what is larvae, and Nancy is telling that they are baby mosquitoes. Aarti, where do you see them? Aarti is telling that where do you see them, Nancy? There was an old pot lying behind our house. It was full of water for some days. When I looked there, I saw some tiny thread like grey things swimming. I was surprised when Mummy told me that this had come out of the eggs which mosquitoes lay in the water. They are called larvae. I also heard something about this on the radio. So Nancy is telling, Aarti is telling that where do you see that baby mosquito? So Nancy is telling that there was a pot behind her house and it was full of water. So when he saw that like tiny thread like grey things swimming, she asked her mother that what is it. So her mother told that they are baby mosquitoes which came out of the eggs and they are swimming in the water. When the water is kept at the same place for many times, the mosquitoes keep their eggs. Rajat, where did you go? Nancy, Papa immediately threw away the water. He cleaned and dried the pot and kept it upside down so that no water would gather. So Rajat is telling that where did you do? So Rajat is telling that after seeing the baby mosquitoes, what you do? And Nancy is telling that her father suddenly removed the water, dried the pot and keep the pot on the upside down so that no water gather. Jaskirat, Sazia auntie told me that even flies spread disease, especially stomach problems. So Jaskirat is telling about that her Sazia auntie told that flies spread disease that causes stomach problems. Rajat, but flies don't bite. How do they spread disease? So Jaskirat, Rajat is telling that flies doesn't bite. So how can they spread disease? So you must have seen during monsoon season there are flies. When you do light, when there is light, there are many flies coming which can causes disease. So say mosquito check, divide your class into 2 or 3 groups. Each group will go around to check one area in school or around it. It must carefully note if water has collected anywhere and mark correct where it finds stagnant water. So you have to do this. You have to go around your school in the ground and you have to see that where the waters are collected. Pot, cooler, tank, any open space in the school gutter. You have to see that. Now say make a poster. This is the activity. Survey report. We found something green around the taps in our school, which is called algae. Due to algae, a kind of plant, it had also become slippery there. The algae spreads a lot during the rainy season. We think that there are some kind of small plants that grow in water. See, there is a green small plant where it is gathering where there is lot of water, and that area becomes slippery where you can got slip easily. We can got slippery easily. So it grows in the where there is dirt or where there is lot of water gathered from many time. Now see group 2, there is a pond near the school. At first you cannot see the water in the pond as it is completely covered with plants. One on auntie told us that these plants have grown themselves in water. Around the pond there are pits full of water. So in group 2 it is telling that there is a pond near the school, and in there is a lot of plants which is grown by themselves, which are grown themselves. One auntie has told them, as we moved around, lot of mosquitoes flew from the plants growing around. Jaskirat feels there are so many mosquitoes in her house because of this dirty pond nearby. So Jaskirat is living nearby, and Jaskirat is telling that there are lot of mosquitoes because this pond is dirty. So there are lot of mosquitoes in our area. Now see, a scientist peeps into mosquitoes' stomachs.